Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is the W2 Prison Break Show, the podcast to help you fire your boss and become the CEO of your own business in under 12 months. I'm your online business coach, Brian O'Neill, and today I'm really excited about this topic. We're going to teach you, by the end of this episode, I'm going to give you 5 steps that you can utilize to launch your first coaching business, online coaching business, using a podcast as your main piece of content, your main lead magnet, your top of funnel, if you will. So I'm going to give you 5 steps. So by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what to do and how to do it and what tools to use. I'm going to give you some resources as well. And then I'm going to give you 3 different ideas to think about, because if you've listened to the show, then you understand and you may experience this yourself that a lot of the roadblocks that brand new entrepreneurs face is, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know what business to start. Everyone that's listening to this show, you have something to teach. You have stuff that other people don't know. And that's what I want you to start thinking about more and more and more versus, hey, I'm going to go out and learn how to do real estate, or I'm going to go learn how to trade stocks, or I'm going to learn this brand new thing that's going to take up a lot of my time. And oh, I might not even like it. I'm okay with you doing that. I just don't see a lot of success with people who are busy, who have families, who are earning higher incomes, that are trying to get out of that life because they are so busy. Now they got to dedicate all this time to learn something brand new that they don't know anything about. You already know how to do something. And this show is all about taking those skills that you already have and your interests, aligning them and building something that you enjoy doing, right? And that is the fastest way to make money. Okay. So, what we're going to talk about here right now is I'm going to give you 3 different examples of how you can use a podcast to build a coaching business, a back end coaching business in 5 steps. Very simple. I like to keep things super simple because most people overcomplicate everything. To get going here, I want you to think about any type of transformation that you've gone through. If you don't have a specific set of skills that are like jumping off the page at you, I do want you to download the ChatGPT Business Blueprint, because that's going to help you identify your skill set, right? And aligning it with your interests and see what business you could start. And that could be a coaching business that you launch through a podcast. But I want you to think about any type of transformation that you've gone through. And I'm going to give you 3 different examples so that you can get the wheels turning here. And then I'm going to lay out the steps. So transformation, meaning, let's just say, for example, you are on a health and wellness journey, right? You've lost a bunch of weight, or you're in the process of losing a bunch of weight, right? I use this example because everybody is, paying attention to their health and fitness in some way, shape, or form, and it relates to everybody. And you also see a lot of health and fitness coaches. And the majority of them have gone through a transformation. Like maybe they've lost 50 pounds or 100 pounds. That's a transformation. So you went from, point step one, right? You were at 0, and now you're at step 5. So I want you to think in all these examples that you have a 10-step journey, right? It might be more steps than that, but for the purpose of this show and these examples, you have a 10-step process. And you don't have to complete all 10 steps to be able to teach people who are at 0 or at step 1 how to get to step 5. If you're at step 5, the people who are at step 1 all the way up to 4 are going to be your clients. You can help them. And then when you get to 10, which is going to take you even longer, you'll have everyone from step 1 all the way up to 9 and possibly even 10. So I just want you to think about that. You do not have to be the fully polished end result version. By the way, you're always growing, so you're never going to be fully polished and done and, okay, I'm good now. Like when you get to 10, you're going to try to get to 11, right? But I want you to think about that. I really do, because a lot of people get blocked. Well, I need to be an expert. I need to be the best. No, you do not. You need to be ahead. If you're at 5, you need to be ahead of 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. If you're at 10 or if you're at 9, you need to be ahead of everybody else. And those people become your clients because you know more than they do about the particular path that they're trying to embark on, health and wellness in this example. All right. So if you are on a fitness journey, a health and wellness journey, and you're at step 5, hey, I've lost 20 pounds or I've lost 50 pounds, you talk about everything that has gone on in your life from 0 to 5. That's what you teach. And that's what your coaching program is about. And by the way, all of your content is that too. So if you develop a curriculum, all right, from 0 to 5, your 0 level all the way up to step 5, because that's where you are, then, and you're continuing to go on this journey, that's what you're teaching. That's what your show is about. That's what your podcast is about. A lot of people get stuck on, well, my coaching needs to be something different than my content. And this is completely false. This is completely false. And I'll get into why in a minute. And they get stuck on content. Well, I can't make content because when you have the content, you are the living, breathing version of the material, because everything that you've gone through from step 1 to step 5 is the content. And you continually teach that over and over again. And then you can bring on guests for your podcast. Because again, we're talking about building a podcast here and then building a back end business. So let's go through the steps. Number 1, you have to identify what this is for health and wellness. And I'm going to give you 2 other ideas to think about, and then we're going to wrap the show up. You need to get clear on what your journey is. All right. What is the starting point? Use the blueprint that I give you in the show notes, the ChatGPT business blueprint, to help you with this. But I just want you to think about, okay, I've transformed. I've gone from step 1 to step 5. How did I get there? What did I do? What were my daily actions? What goals did I set? Who did I hire? What did I do? What were the changes that I made? And all of that becomes your content, right? That's what you're going to talk about in your podcast. Now, when you launch your podcast, okay, and that's not this step, but when you launch your podcast, that's the stuff that you're going to be talking about. And I'll get to how we are going to organize your podcast here in a minute, but it's really important to nail this up front, because a lot of people who start podcasts, they just do it the wrong way. I've had 2 shows. This one has been going on, the W2 Prison Break show, for a couple of years now. I'm up to 175 episodes at the time of this recording. And my previous one had about 40 for my real estate business that I retired a while ago. So I've done this a time or 2, and I've been on a bunch of shows. And again, a lot of people just don't do it the right way. So by listening to this, you're going to have the basic steps here. So after we identify what our transformation is, which won't take you that long to do, okay, you just have to, hey, I'm at step 5. How did I get there? And what was it like before that? Okay. And that ultimately becomes what your messaging is all about. Like, I've gone on this transformation, because you're looking for people who are at step 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we get really dialed in on what our journey is. And then the second step is, now we have to define who our person is, who our ideal client is. You'll hear me use the word avatar a lot, which is, who do I want to help? And this can be complicated for a lot of people, but the easiest way to think about this is, it's usually the previous version of you. All right. Now, my avatar, my ideal client, is the younger version of Brian, right? When I was in my 9 to 5 job and I was missing my kid grow up and I felt like I was underpaid and I was traveling all the time, and I'm not in that situation anymore. I've made a transformation. I'm in a different spot. So I talk to people who used to be like me, right? Or the previous version of me. There's a lot of people out there right now. ChatGPT can help you identify your target audience, your ideal person. And if you don't know who it is, use it to help you with ideas. And again, my blueprint will help you with that. Okay. But you can just simply go in and say, hey, I'm a health and fitness coach. I went on this transformation where I lost 50 pounds in 1 year, and I want to start a podcast, and I want to teach people how to do this. And I need help identifying who my ideal client is. Ask me as many questions as you need to help me complete the task. Hit enter, answer all the questions, and you will have a fully developed ideal client. And now you know who you're talking to, and you can create content directly to that person, and they will come to you. Right. So that's step 2, is to identify who your person is, who your ideal client is. Do not skip this step, please. This is very important. The third step is, now you have to create content. And the reason I love podcasting, and more specifically a video podcast, is because you can take a 30-minute podcast, 10 to 30 minutes. You can go up to an hour if you want. If you have a guest, sometimes they go a little bit longer, but you can take that content, that one podcast, and you can repurpose it so many times it's not even funny, because you have the video version of it, which can be turned into shorter clips. Right, any of you guys that follow me on social media, I do this with all of my podcast episodes, and I use AI to do it, so it's not that difficult. I have the transcripts. Okay, every podcast episode has the transcript, which I can turn into emails, blog posts. If it's a really, really good episode, you could turn it into like a mini lead magnet. There's so many different things that you can do with it. You can turn it into posts, Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, threads, tweets. There's a bunch of different ways that you can repurpose this content. And when you have enough of these transcripts, you can start putting together curriculum, like course curriculum, right? Or coaching curriculum, one-to-one stuff. You got to keep all this stuff in. And I have 175 episodes, guys. I have all of that data and it never goes away. So I really recommend doing a video style podcast. You're going to want it on audio as well, but I put everything on YouTube, and then I have the audio version as well, and then the transcripts, and it can all be repurposed. And you can also repost episodes. Like a lot of people who listen to podcasts don't understand that a lot of podcast hosts are reposting older episodes because they're still relevant. Right. So that's a kind of a little mini hack there with your podcast is don't be afraid to repost old episodes. I repost old content from a year ago on my social media feeds, and I repost old episodes, especially really, really good ones where it's like, hey, this is still relevant. I'm reposting this episode, because if you have 100 episodes, you have to fully understand that the majority of your audience is not listening to all of the episodes. I mean, think about your favorite podcast. Have you listened to all 500 episodes? Probably not. So repost the stuff and then make sure that you're repurposing your content. All right, how do we start a podcast? Don't overcomplicate this. I'm going to give you a couple of tools that I use and keep it very, very basic. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I use a very simple microphone. It's a Shure MV7, M as in Mary, V as in Victor, 7 microphone. It's $250. I mean, with inflation, it might have gone up a little bit, but it's a plug and play mic. You just USB plug it right into your computer, and you got a good sounding mic. You need to have good quality microphone if you're going to do a podcast. Don't use your iPhone headphones. Invest in a mic. Okay, it's not a lot of money. Make sure that your lighting is good. You don't want to have poor lighting. Look like you know what you're doing. If you're trying to launch a coaching business and you're having a video podcast or even just an audio podcast, you need to make sure that you look and sound professional. This is really important. You're presenting yourself as a coach, as a mentor. You have to look and sound awesome. All right. There's a lot of competition out there. So invest in proper lighting, invest in a good camera. All right. I'm not using my iMac camera. I'm using a 4K camera. Right. And I probably spent maybe $500, $600, $700 on the camera. I've been using it for years. It's awesome. The video quality is really, really good. So, depending on, there's all different budget levels. You can get a mic for $100. I'll send the links to some of the stuff that I use. I'll keep that in the show notes so that you just get thinking about it, but don't chintz on the investment. You're going to build a coaching business and you want to get attention. Make sure you put forth the effort in investing in these products or these tools, because you're going to need them. To record, you have a lot of different options. A lot of people just use Zoom. I don't really like Zoom that much because it compresses the audio. It doesn't sound as good. I use a tool called Riverside.fm. Yes, there is a cost associated with it, but it's really, really great quality, and it's got a great editor in it. I can edit the podcast episodes right inside the app. There's a lot of different tools that you can use you can record right in it. You can create show notes. That's what I like about Riverside.fm is you can create show notes, and it does like I said, leaves the transcripts, does the video version. You can create clips right? Like shorts, I don't use it for clips, but you can do that. So it's got a really good studio in here and I like it. I highly recommend it. There is an investment. It's not tremendous, but it's a good tool to use. So you've got your audio and your video to be able to record. You need Calendly. Like you got to have a way for people to book on your show. If you're going to have guests, if you don't have guests, if it's just going to be you the whole time, then you don't need Calendly. But if you need a way to book guests, right? So decide that. Are you going to be just you doing a bunch of solo casts or are you going to have guests? I have a mix of both. I have 3 episodes that I do per week where it's me on a solo cast, which is what this is. This is referred to as a solo cast episode. So I'm teaching you something and I try to keep my episodes under a half an hour. And then my guest episodes, I bring on an expert in related to my industry. So if you're doing health and fitness, you want to bring on fitness experts, right? Or mindset people or people that are related to your journey, to what you're coaching, that will add value to your audience. All right. So that's some of the gear stuff that you're going to need. Editing, you can outsource editing too. You can go on Fiverr and have somebody outsource your entire show. Like you just give them the audio clip or the video clip and say, here, deliver it to me. And they charge you per episode and they add all the music. Like I don't have music on my podcast. There's a bunch of different schools of thought there. I use this more as, hey, let me deliver the content efficiently and to provide good value to the audience and speak to my person. Like I'm always looking for the person who is my ideal client. I'll get to that in a minute because one of the examples I'm going to use is how I use this for my coaching business, how I use podcasting to build my coaching business. So after you're launched with your show, you need somewhere to host it. And there's so many different ways. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas. You can use Spotify for podcasters. That's free. You can use Buzzsprout. I use a tool called Kajabi, and I'll leave a link for a free trial. You can check that out. Kajabi, which is an all-in-one. I can host my podcast. I have my courses in there. I can collect payments in there. Email is all in there. So it's an all-in-one platform. My website's in there. I build landing pages. It's a really cool tool. I love it. I can't say enough about it. And it does everything. So I don't have to have all these different tools. It's just kind of an all-in-one. But getting started out, that may be overkill for you. You can just kind of piecemeal that together and just get with a basic Zoom account if you don't want to get Riverside, and then just get a $100 microphone, get some good lighting, have a place to host your podcast, and you're off to the races. Just start creating content. And you're going to want to plan for that, right? And look, when your podcast first comes out, it's not going to be any good. Just own that, right? When I first started my first podcast over 3 years ago, it wasn't that good, right? Because I'd never done it before. But you get better. You get better and better. And ultimately, when you start gaining traction and you start doing it enough, getting the reps in, you are going to get good at this. That's going to help you in a lot of different ways. Podcasting has helped me become a better speaker, a better content creator. And I still have work to do on speaking, right? I still do. And we all do. And it's also helped me become a better coach because I have to, I learn from the people that I interview. Like I interview a lot of millionaires on my show and I learn from them, right? And that helps me because and I develop relationships as well with these people. So podcasting is a great way to expand your network and to learn and to get good at creating content. And again, you do this one time, 30-minute episode, and you've got content forever that you can put in all different types of spots, which is going to be super valuable. The smartest people who are in podcasting understand this. And that's one of the reasons they start podcasts is they know that they can do this thing one time and they can put it everywhere and repurpose it and recreate it. And nobody knows the difference. So that's why I love podcasting. Okay, so the next piece of this is now that we have the podcast launched and you're doing your content, we're at step 4 now, which is to build your framework. Like, what are you going to coach, right? How are you going to do it? And what are you going to teach? And again, I alluded in step 1 is like, hey, get your journey on paper. Like, what are you doing? What are you coaching? What are the steps in your process? 1 through 5 or 1 through 7 or wherever you are. Teach all of that because you've lived it, you've experienced it. Now, how do you get clients? And what do you teach? Your podcast material should be exactly what's in your coaching program. Right? You don't have to teach your whole coaching program in one episode, but you want to constantly teach that. Don't think you have to hide stuff and not give the stuff away, because this is what I've learned about coaching. Like, and I tell this to my clients, and I tell this to potential clients, and I tell this, I've said this on this podcast. For the most part, anything that you want to learn, you can go on the internet, YouTube, and learn it. It's for free. You can figure it out on your own, right? Why people hire mentors and coaches, or they buy courses to solve a specific problem, like, hey, I want to lose weight, or I want to improve my life in some way, or I want to get out of my 9 to 5, or I want to build a coaching business, whatever it is they need someone to give them the steps in order. Here's step one, here's two, three, four, five, all the way through 10. They need accountability. People have accountability missing from their lives, and that's why they can't focus, they can't stay on task. And then if they fall off the road, if they go off the road a little bit, right, and start getting distracted and shiny object syndrome, and they have a bad day and they want to give up, they need someone to reel them back in. And that may sound like, wow, that doesn't seem like a reason why I would need a coach, but that's super important, because this is what happens the first time that business punches you in the nose, and it will happen. I promise you. If you go into business on your own, you're going to get clocked right in the teeth, and it's going to happen multiple times. And if you're not prepared for that, if you're not mentally ready for that, you will fold like a house of cards. A lot of people will. So you got to be mentally ready. And a lot of the times, having someone to just say, hey, this happened to me, what do I do? And they know what to do because it's happened to them. That's super valuable. So that's what you're going to provide as a coach, is that, hey, I've been through this. If your health and wellness journey, and you go off the deep end and you binge eat, it's like, yeah, I did that too, like 10 times. It's okay. You got to dust yourself off, and here's what you do next, right? Versus, well, I just wasted 3 months of my life not, or being great with my health and fitness, and I just fell off the rails. So that's really what it is the accountability piece, and then the ability to help them through the journey when problems arise, because they will arise. They will arise. Always, your content is always what you're coaching. Like, don't hide any of that stuff, right? And just be aware of the fact that people will call you out on, like, oh, you can get all this stuff for free on the internet. And I say, yeah. And you guys, when you hear that, that's not your person. You want the people who need the help, the accountability. They need to stay focused. They need somebody to kind of be in it with them, hold their hand a little bit. They still got to do the work. You don't want to have to babysit people, but they need, and they have admitted that, hey, look, I can't do this on my own. I tried. I need somebody's help. And I need to be around people that are smarter than me, that are better than me. The people who are saying I can get it for free, good, go ahead, good luck. Not demeaning them in any way, but they're going to spend a lot of time, and they're going to have a hodgepodge of information that they don't really know what to do with. Like, okay, I got all this detail. Sure, it's all on YouTube, but it's fed to me by 15 different people, and I don't know what to do first. And that takes a lot of time. So instead of and if people really knew what their time was worth, they would realize that that actually cost them money. Because if you're worth $50 an hour, if your hourly rate is 50 or $100 an hour, you're spending 10 hours trying to figure out a problem, and you don't know what the order is. Well, if you're making $50 an hour, do the math. All right, that's a lot of money, when you could buy a course or hire somebody for half of that, or maybe the same amount, and you get way more, and you're able to get the result that you want. So just think about that when you're presenting a coaching program to somebody, or if you are looking at getting a problem solved, you're looking for a mentor. Just think about it that way. This is why people hire coaches and mentors, and they buy courses, is because of the speed and not having to go look for it on their own. All right, getting your first clients. This is always the challenging part. And a lot of people get imposter syndrome here. Hey, nobody's going to pay me. I haven't done. Yes, you have. You went through a transformation. There are people, again, that are below you in terms of the steps, right? And you don't need a lot of people. As a one-to-one coach, you can only take so many people on. So getting your first client is, you always want to have a back-end business built out. Number one, you have to tell people that you are a coach. I coach people one-to-one. I say it all the time in my podcast. I refer to my one-to-one clients. This is what I do with them. I talk about the curriculum. I talk about, accountability. I talk about my mastermind. Like, don't overdo it, but use your podcast as a way to talk about what your services are, what your offer is, because you got to get that dialed in. Like, what is it that you help people do on the health and fitness journey? What are you helping them do? You're helping them go from step 1 to step 5. Well, clearly define what that is. I lost 50 pounds in 12 months or 6 months doing this, this, and this without having to sacrifice this, this, and this. I can help you do that too. Something like that. That's just I'm just shooting off the cuff here of what an offer looks like. But you have to, when you're shooting an offer out, right, you have to give people the result and make sure that they understand that they don't have to, they're in this particular position, right? Like, I'm overweight, I'm stressed, I don't know how to properly diet, or I don't know how to do this specific thing. Like, something's missing from their lives. You're solving that problem for them, and you're doing it in X amount of time without them having to go through the pain point, right? Which is maybe sifting through all the different fad diets out there and all that type of stuff. And then you just have a step-by-step process. That's another reason why people hire coaches, is because they want the steps. 1, 2, do this, do this, do this. People love that, right? Like, they have the order. And if you follow it, you will get said result. So that's what you need to have. You need to have your offer dialed in. And then when you're coaching someone, I always recommend this. Let's just say your coaching program is $1,000 a month, or that's what you would like to charge, $1,000 a month. Well, your first client might not pay you $1,000 a month, or want to, because you don't have any testimonials and you've never done this before. So maybe instead of $1,000 a month, you'll charge them $200 a month to get the testimonial. You would work for them as if you were getting paid $1,000 a month. Heck, do it for free. Do it for free. Don't be afraid of that. And pour into them like they were paying you $1,000 a month, your max rate that you want to earn. And when you are done with them, or along the way, make sure that you're getting documentation and testimonials. And if they have to be, the testimonials have to be worth it. You have to help them. You obviously can't be a coach if you're not producing a result for people. But when you get that first round of testimonials, now it's like, okay, I helped these 3 or 4 people achieve this result. My rate just went up to 400 or 600 or 800. And you do this round after round, like, 3 to 5 people every time, get the testimonials. In half a year, your entire website will be filled up with testimonials. You're putting them on social media. You're sending out emails, you're putting them on your websites, and you're telling people about it, right? You're talking about it on your podcast. And now you're at your max rate, $1,000, because you produce the results and you have people telling you that you're producing these awesome results for them and you're transforming lives. And who knows, maybe instead of $1,000, maybe it's $3,000 a month. It just depends on what the problem is that you're solving and what the value is there, right? And you'll figure that out as you get going, but don't get hung up in the pricing. Do it for free if you have to. Just get the clients, help them get the testimonials, and then raise your rates as you continue to provide value to people. It's that simple, guys. It really is, in terms of what you need to do. So you're using your podcast to get people, right? To get attention to people. Then that would be your top of funnel. So podcast is top of funnel. You want to have some type of lead magnet. And I want you to think about what your lead magnet is for this health and fitness journey. Then I'm going to give you 2 more examples. It would be step 1 in the process, right? So you give something away for free. That is awesome. That will get them a quick win. And then they would need you hey, I want steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I also need you to help me with accountability and to coach me and guide me through this, because I don't think I can do it on my own. All right. This is big in health and fitness. This is why the personal training industry is so big, because people need to be held accountable, because nobody wants to work out. Like, there's very few people that wake up and be like, I can't wait to work out. But if you got people holding you accountable and you got a coach and you paid for it and you invested, your chances of success are much higher. All right. So have an awesome lead magnet. Hey, what's step 1? Maybe it's a diet plan or a grocery list or something that will give them a quick win, or, like a fitness analysis or something that you used in the beginning that helped you get to step 2, 3, 4, and 5. Give that away, promote it. That's how you get people on your email list. You collect their emails, and then you continue to send them content. You promote the episodes. You have a call that the people would book with you if they're interested in your services. It's that simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. You just have to have the awesome offer, and then you have to have a framework that you're coaching and teaching, and you have to have a lead magnet. Okay, those are the 5 steps. I'm going to go over them one more time, and then I'll give you 2 more examples of transformations that you can think about. But I want you to think about your own transformation. So, step number 1 is to identify what your transformative journey is, right? What have you gone through that you can help other people with? And trust me, there's a bunch of people who want to go through your journey, through your transformation. They want to. I'm going to give you some examples here in a second. So that's step 1. Step number 2 is to define your target audience. Who is the person, the ideal person that you want to help? You can go broad in the beginning, but you want to narrow this down. And again, it's usually a younger, previous version of you, like the step 1 of you in your particular journey. The third step is to create your content, launch your podcast, and create your content. Again, I gave you all the different ways you can set the show up and produce the content and what type of content and the format and all that good stuff. Step 4 is, what does your back end business look like for your coaching program? And are you doing this in a one-to-one or a group format? That's up to you. You can test both. Some people like groups, some people want one-to-ones. You can do it in a mastermind style or a membership, but you're coaching. And what are you coaching? Like, what's your framework, right? Like, how do you deliver it? Is it 90 days? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 6 months? You have to figure that out. And then the next one, 5, is to launch your show and attract your first clients. You're constantly speaking to the avatar, the ideal client. You're always speaking to that person, their pain points. And it's usually you're just sharing your journey. The pain points, like, hey, this episode speaks to my ideal client. All right. I help people start businesses, launch businesses based on the skills and the knowledge that they already have. I am directly speaking to my ideal person, someone who wants to start a business but doesn't know what to start. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm giving them ideas on what transformation they might have gone through that they could teach other people, that other people want to go through, and then how to deliver it. We overcomplicate everything. You already know how to do stuff. Teach that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So those are the 5 steps. Now I'm going to give you 2 other things to think about. And I teased one out, which was my journey. And this is true for a lot of people. A lot of people have left corporate, worked in corporate for a long time, started a business. Maybe they got into real estate. Maybe they got into, coaching like I did. I actually did both of those things. And they've gone through a transformation. That's what I did. And I realized that the more I shared my story as to why I left and how I did it, the more people wanted to know about it. And then I acquired all these skills during my entrepreneurial journey, which hasn't been a tremendous amount of time, but I've done very well because I've been around people who have taught me. I've learned. I'm 50 years old. I'm still learning, but I know if I'm at step 7 in my entrepreneurial journey, there are so many people that are at step 1 or even at 4 or 5 that need me, that want me to help them, that I can help. And I'm not lost on that. I can't help everybody, and not everybody wants me to help them, but I'm always looking for my ideal target client, which is a younger version of me. A previous version of me would be the way to explain it. They don't have to be younger than me. I have people who are older than me that I coach, but a previous version of me. Like, they're in this spot that I was stuck in for a long time, being in my 9-to-5 job, and they think they have no way out. I can't tell you how many people a day I talk to that are in this position that don't think they could ever get out. And that was me. And I can totally relate to that. And I say, yes, I remember that feeling. It wasn't good, but I want to tell you that you can absolutely get out of this. And we overcomplicate it because we're so brainwashed and used to living a certain way that any idea of change or something different just really, clams us up, and we get frightened because we can't see the end result. That's the journey that I take people on is, all right, you're in this position of being stuck, not knowing what business to start, not having any confidence, and you don't really know what to do first. You don't have anybody holding you accountable. Like, maybe you don't know any of the stuff I just talked about in this podcast, like how to set the podcast up. Stuff that I take for granted now that I didn't know 5, 6 years ago. I had no clue. And there's so many people out there that don't know what I'm talking about. And that's okay. I had to learn it too. So when you think about your own personal transformation, I want you to have that mindset that there are people out there that have no clue what you went through. They're going to act like they do. The ones who act like they do are not your people. It's the ones who are being like, oh, yeah, that's me. I need that. I need that help. Tell me more, right? And they become raving fans, and they could potentially become clients. The other transformative journey I want you to think about is more of a personal development one, okay? Because people want better lives, they want better health, they want more money, they want better relationships. Maybe you were in a dark place, right? Maybe you battled with depression or anxiety, or you're an introvert and you're now a public speaker, and you thought there was no way that you were going to be able to do that. There's a lot of people who want to break out of that, who don't want to be depressed, who don't want to feel anxious, who don't want to feel like they're introverts and they're scared of the world. And you went through this journey and now you're a public speaker. Teach that. Very simple. Okay. Don't overcomplicate it. You have the gift, you have the ability, it already lives inside of you. Don't overcomplicate this. Think about any transformation that you've gone through at any point in your life that's still relevant. And that's what I want you to focus on. And then you can launch that into a podcast. And I don't care if there's 50 podcasts on that particular topic. I really don't. Because you, as a coach in a group or a one-to-one setting, you don't need thousands of people. You need a solid handful of well-paying clients that are going to pay you your rate, your worth, get into your group, get into your aura, and then you can monetize them and get more clients, after that round, because they may not stay with you forever, because they move on, and they maybe they'll get a different coach, or maybe maybe your program will change, but you don't need hundreds and thousands of people. And that's where I think people get lost, is they think they got to save the world, and you don't. You need to find your people that need your help, deliver as much valuable content to them through your podcast, through your social media posts, and through your calls. And if you have a mastermind, and obviously through your coaching as well, and focus on them. And then it becomes fun, because likely you're proud of your journey, you're proud of your result. And that's going to light you up. Because again, as soon as it gets difficult, you can be like, you know what? I like doing this. I like helping people. I like it when people tell me that I help them, because that's a great feeling. All right. You've got a lot from this episode. You've got a lot of links in here that you're going to look at. What I will offer you is you're going to get an email from me on this episode, because I will promote it. And I just want you to tell me what you think of the episode, and then ask me any questions. You guys always have my email. I send emails out every week to promote these episodes. Again, this is something that you're going to be doing for your podcast and your coaching business, your back-end coaching business. Tell me what you think. What's an idea that you have? And maybe I can help you validate it, right? Or take the next 2 or 3 steps to get you to where you want to go. I thank you for tuning in. If this was helpful, if this served you, please share it and make it a great day.